everyone and welcome. Now I'm not in Moonmouth, I'm in a different forested area, 10 miles in a different direction, and I just felt like I should get out and have a walk. So the track is a little way over there, probably about a mile over there, and I like to walk within the forest, so it's amazing what you see. I'm going to show you. Little things like this. And do you think that that is natural? So you've got, see your line up above, all over there, that line there, straight line across, then another straight line, parallel line in front, mixed in between. Let me see if I can stand this way, with a horizontal line going across. See, it's like two tram lines. It's almost like a letter H. One there and one here, meeting in the middle with this H. I wouldn't normally have noticed it, but I just thought that does look strange. And how unusual to find it off the beaten track, although it is beside this here, which is a badger set. I don't know how far or deep it goes, but there'll be some more holes over here somewhere. They'll probably be in there now, sleeping, listening to me, thinking, what's she talking about? So that large H-type sign, huge glyph, I mean it's obvious, in amongst lianas, big lianas like this, and we've seen this a lot well in our forests here, these lianas here like this, and then over there, lianas over there. Oh look, another one here. Now these to me look like stumps that have been clearly sawn off, but my guess is, looking at the age of them, probably sawn off 50, 60 years ago, a very long time ago. I have a feeling that this is private land that I'm on. But that's never stopped me before. It's not going to stop me now. Oh look, we see these before. Right, as promised, I said we would have, I would discuss with the people and ask them if they would give us a heads up on the eclipse and any information they could with regard to that. So I felt the other night when I was preparing this, it usually takes me a couple of hours to put together some notes about this, and I quite literally felt that Daceagaia was over my shoulder on this. And this is Daceagaia's field. This is really his, one of his points of expertise. Okay, so I had written out bits and pieces and I wanted Daceagaia to go over it, so I quite literally almost got a dictation from him. I spoke to him about what I had put down, and he added and corrected and really gave me some good details. So the eclipse is seen as a time marker. It marks a passage of time, and it would have a family gathering planned around this, and probably special ceremonies also. It's seen as an auspicious day. So how do they know when it occurs? That was one of my questions. They don't have a telescope. How do they know? So they feel energy, and I think that this is something that we need to get our heads around, is the way they feel energy. It's like your sixth sense, your gut feeling. They must feel this energy. So all sensitives can feel and notice the change, all of us. And for anybody who is a sensitive, and I'm sure that many of you are, just based on your comments really, and you notice it, you feel the change, and the energy for the 2 weeks preceding this has been very noticeable. This eclipse, it was noticeable change. It was bizarre energy, unusual, uncertain, very strange how it felt. So it's a time when, for you guys, if you are into crystals or using stones for healing, or just for, in general, to access the power from stones or the properties of stones, if in general that is what you do and that's your interest, it's a time when your stones will be really recharged. They will get a really good charge. So either you put them at night, put them out at night. Some like lunar charging from the moon, some like solar charging from the sun, and it depends on the stone. And so it's a good time to have charged them, and it makes a very powerful time. It really gives those stones a massive boost. The thoughts that you put out at this time, the energy you emit from your body at this time, the thoughts you have, they will come back to you rewarded. So if you are putting out bad energy, that comes back to you. Just remember that. That comes back to you. But if you're putting out good thoughts or things you've requested yourself, what you would like, what you want, then you will get that back. It will come back to you. Isn't it strange? So Daceagaia also says, I asked about children. And Daceagaia also says that if a child was born at this time, it would be a very special child indeed, a child of wisdom. Perhaps it would be especially gifted. Now, for human beings, and I believe it may also be for some Janu peoples as well, depending on their little clan and where they actually are, they might consider the opposite. And it depends on the energy of the eclipse. If the energy of that time, of that eclipse, feels uncertain and bad, negative, if you like, then they might consider that child to be blighted, not to have reaped the benefits of good. And I don't think that's the case in all Janu peoples. I think it's very isolated. He's saying an isolated community, whereas most of them would look upon it as a really, really good opportunity. Oh, hello, someone's had some dinner. It looks like feathers of a pigeon or something of that nature. It's deed as can be. Interesting that it has been eaten underneath holly leaves, and that is in an archway. If you look, an archway of holly. How interesting. See? and they've chosen to eat underneath here. Holly is protective. Not only has it got prickles on it, but I think in ancient laws, Lores, it has protective qualities. A bit like the rowan tree that would protect people from things and beings. Right, let me get back to where I was. So Janu peoples, Daceagaia tells me, Janu peoples would gather to observe an eclipse. Even if it was cloudy, the energetic change can be felt within their own energy fields. So I would equate that with us as humans. We know when, for example, there is thunder and lightning, the atmospherics change, and you can feel it. Some people may get a response of a headache, others may just feel the energy change like static, like the hairs on their arm all stand up. I tell you what, there's some interesting stuff in this forest. I just want to show you this. So when I see things like this, what I'm looking for around it are signs of footprints. And how interesting, there is no footprints, but how interesting that all of that, like shelter thing, put above it, hiding place, is all over a bend of a tree. What do you think, my friends? What do you think? So this is something that I touched on at the start, where I said that some pregnant females now, they may wish to hide their belly at this time if they felt that the eclipse exuded adverse energy. So that would be a way to prevent their child from adverse energy. But if they thought that the eclipse was positive and they could utilise the energy and it would be a real boost, and I think it's a boost of all things, the eclipse, to be honest, they would be happy to show their belly. They wouldn't be in need of hiding anything. So this year's eclipse, can't speak, it's been a very, very powerful time, very powerful. And particularly for the Janu, particularly for us, for everyone, whether we are animal or human, all things that live, all things that grow, okay? All living things. And that's quite hard for people to get their head around. What I was quite surprised was that Daceagaia actually also said all living things and even subterranean rocks. And I was thinking about that, and he gave me like a quick burst of energy which showed me like geodes. They all grow. They're all growing. Like opal within rocks, it grows. Quartz, it grows. So I thought that was really quite interesting. So what he really is saying here is this is a reset. The eclipse, and I don't think it applies to all eclipses. It happens to be this eclipse. It may be that other eclipses have a different energy. And he said this is a reset. It's a rebalance. It's a realignment. So those of us who are sensitives will feel a very different energy and be in receipt of an increase in downloads, which has actually been the case for me. I have had so many downloads. It's nightly. It is nightly. So eclipses are important to the universe, because the planets are also in receipt of eclipse energy, regardless of which planet they are. If they are within the trajectory, probably within the viewpoint, they are also imbalanced. They are rudderless. Their magnetic fields are slightly out of kilter. Once the eclipse has been and passed and the dust has settled, people will start to feel more rejuvenated. But take note, my friends. Think of what is going on at the moment. Sorry, I'm having to duck under branches here. Think of what is going on at this moment and how it has been ramped up around the world. And it most certainly has. At the time of the eclipse, the 2 weeks preceding and the weeks after, it has certainly been ramped up. And we live in very, very tricky times. And they're saying, what Daceagaia is saying, take note of the energy around the world. Take note that they've been more ramped up, that it's due specifically to the way the eclipse has affected judgment and the judgment on those people and how they are utilising their energy. It specifically affected them, and adversely. Hello, what have we here? Perhaps because of the eclipse, it has given the wrong people, if you like, overconfidence. It's given them the confidence to act in a very, very aggressive manner, and it's all affected the aggressiveness within the ego. The ego has taken over. The lack of judgment. So it magnifies all things good and bad. The murk, shall we say, the murkiness, the cloudiness of the last sort of 18 months, eventually it will clear. I think how he says is people will have better clarity. So the eclipse leaves an energetic reverberation around the planet. So if you imagine an earthquake leaves the planet physically ringing like a bell, an eclipse does this energetically. So animals, marine life, birds, plants, all things living will have felt this shift. Particularly for us as humans, particularly sensitives, we feel the change in the energetic field. Animals, it's just part of their natural existence. They feel it, they know it's coming, they feel the energetic change, they know it's coming. So eclipses, it's part of a cyclical cleansing process. And if you think of things like akin to bushfires, floods, earthquakes, volcanoes, they're all physical examples of cleansing of the earth. And this is the same thing. The eclipse has that energy of cleansing. So we've all felt strange over it. Some of us may not attribute it to that. It just may think, oh, what a rotten 2 weeks I've had, or you've just felt slightly, for no reason at all, at 6s and 7s, not understanding why you feel the way you do. Well, perhaps you can put it down to the eclipse. It's a bizarre time. So I've just asked Daceagaia here, with lunar eclipse, solar eclipses, do they have similar energies? And he's saying different energies, different atmospheres are attributed to both. So I think whether the eclipse is lunar or whether an eclipse is solar, and for us this was a solar eclipse, I think that it's an individual energy on each occasion. It's not, oh look, the same energy is coming. I don't think it's like that. I think it's very individual to the time period. So, I wonder if that's of any interest to you. Now, if any of you have any questions that I haven't covered there, I thought I'd covered. I didn't really cover anything. This was Daceagaia covering all bases. But if you think of something that I've missed, pop it in the comments section below, and I'll come back to Daceagaia on that in another video and tag it onto another video, and we'll get those questions answered for you. So Daceagaia at the moment is in what we call root health, and sort of, I get the impression, or like arms folded and looking at me shaking his head. That's how I get the impression of him. He's in not so rude. No, he's in robust health, good health. So thank you everybody for watching the little short video that I did last week. And it was really short notice, and let me explain. I was prompted to do this video last week, and it was just a short 5-minute thing. It wasn't meant to be any longer than that. And I felt like Athenian saying, please do this, because I'd had the idea to do it anyway. And I was going to leave. I said, well, I've got plans for next week. I want to do the eclipse one next week. So no, now, do it now. So I think they got the sense of urgency with the energy shift regarding what's happening in the Middle East. And although you may think, you might live way out in the sticks and think, hey, that doesn't matter to me, I couldn't care less whether they want to fight over whatever they want to fight over. You know, you may feel that way, but I'm afraid it affects all of us. If you drive a car, it is going to affect all of us, especially now Iran is involved. And I think they sensed this, and they wanted this energy to be put out there. And what they're saying is, you guys, I can't see you, but I know you're sitting over there, you're here. Whether you're in Florida, whether you are in Montana, whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're in London, whether you are in West Virginia, it doesn't matter where you are, where you're listening to this. You are all lights. You are all lighthouses. You are all beacons of light. The more people that are out there, the brighter it gets. The more people that can... Holy shit, there's a person. Bloody hell. The dog has spotted me, but the owner hasn't. And thankfully, I'm using a tree. Thankfully, the dog's not having it. The owner is too dopey and has just kept walking back to where it was. All the way out here. And somebody comes and they decide to walk their dogs. Anyway, back to where I was. We are all beacons of light. And we need to emit the light. We need to just be there like a network, like a mesh, putting lights. And you are a mesh, just from one channel, from this channel. And there are many different channels doing the same thing. There's a lady in South Africa, Debbie, hello Debbie, and I follow her channel, completely different line of thinking on this than this, but it's definitely in the spiritual field, and she has certainly resonated with me what she's saying. So her channel has a massive following, thousands of people, and her messaging is really good, amazing. She has a gift, a fantastic gift, and she is another network doing the same thing. And I think what Spirit has been doing over the past few years is awakening quite a few of us around. So you've been woken up, you just to link onto some of these channels, and you may not realise it, but there is a reason why you're watching the channel. It's not because of me, and I don't think it's because of the fabulous scenery. We're all interested in a similar subject, but I don't even think that's the connection. That's just a common denominator. The Janu peoples, the people, it just is a common denominator. But I think the real reason is they are wanting us to put this message out, because the world, as you may or may not know, depending on whether you follow what goes on, is in a tricky, tricky place. So it doesn't really matter whether you're in the Caribbean or whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Yorkshire, whether you are in the London area, whether you're in West Virginia, where you are, whether you're in Arkansas, Georgia, Oklahoma, it doesn't matter. We're here for a purpose, and we've got to get this message out, and that's what Athenian wanted, just to put the light out into the world for all to see. So that was my little light, and I hope that people took something from it and understood what it was about. And this is going on, it's repeated all over the world, and YouTube now is the new medium. Now this is going to sound really bizarre, and I don't want it to sound at all irreverent or at all insulting, but we used to all go to churches. In yesteryear, your day off work, you'd go to church on the Sunday. You'd give your praise. Now people still do that, but people's working lives have changed completely, absolutely completely. And we're in a 24/7 working field. Home life has disappeared, family life has disappeared, because the needs of the work situation has changed. So how do you get your message out if people have the individual right to choose whether they wish to believe in whatever they believe in, whether they are Islam or whether they are Christian or Jewish or whatever their faith, it's immaterial. And if you are unable, because of your work life, to get to a church, to get to a place where you can do your worship, you may not follow those beliefs. You may think, well, that's not really me. I'm spiritual, but I'm not really interested in that. And I think that's where the shift has been now. It's moved into a different area now. And so in order to get those people who are not already aligned with their spiritual connections, as in their religious connections, for those people who are not aligned with them, and although they've got a great heart, they just don't happen to feel the need to go to church or do any of that. They don't need to connect with their pastor or anything like that. They just don't have that need. They may not believe in it, whatever. YouTube has become a new format in which to get a message out, and I think Spirit has recognised that. Just look around you when you go into your local town. Everybody's scrolling. Their life is scrolling. But we are a connected world, and YouTube, or mediums like YouTube, are the way forward, where you can put a message out. You can let people know your message. You can spread your light, and I think that Spirit has recognised that. So that's why there's a lot of channels with different interests. It may be that somebody has got a knitting circle on there, but their discussions over their knitting circle or whatever it is may be of a lighter, high vibrational level. And I think that's where we're at here. Sorry, there's a farmer somewhere in this field over there. And I know it's a farmer with a tractor. He's got a really big tractor and he's got a big trailer on it, and I know exactly what he is dumping into a field over there because I can smell it from here, and it's not good. That's briefly what I wanted to say. That was what the message was out. But just to give you a heads up, if you look at, you can pick out many channels on YouTube. It's a fantastic medium for people to get their messages out. But I think there's many people on different subjects, whether they're woodworkers, whether they are doing car body repair, or just going for a walk in the woods like me. They've got many different subjects. And those of us that are more high vibrational, aiming to be more high vibrational, this is the new medium that Spirit is using to get the message out. So thank you for watching. The more you interact with this channel, the more commenting or just any experiences you want to put down or anything like that, the more you interact with the channel, and there's a comment boxes below, the more you do that, the more you interact with the channel, the more you put comments in the boxes, a like, subscribe, whatever, the more that YouTube, the algorithm, picks it up. I want to grow the channel, yeah, and that's not a financial thing. I don't wish to make money off this channel. That's not what I'm here for. It's getting the message out. And like I changed at the start of this year, December really, actually, end of last year, changed the sort of format on the front end of the videos. And it's not just about the forest people, because that is the centre, or one of the many spokes of a wheel, and they are all connected. And the sooner we get that, the world gets it. There are many different subjects, spirituality, dimensions, all sorts of different things. So let's use it as a platform for that. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Many thanks. Bye.